This guy's turning inbound. The aft one's turning inbound.
You got the flares, right?
Yeah, I got the flares. 252 WCO, track aft FIAC, turning inbound at this time.
Chinese oil tanker sanctioned by the United States just sailed through an American naval blockade. Nobody stopped it. And that right there tells you everything about where this is going. So let me catch you up. This is moving fast. Yesterday morning, 10 a.m., we started this blockade. The United States Navy said, hey, Iranian ports along the Strait of Hormuz are closed. Trump went on True Social, went on Fox, basically said, no ship gets in, no ship gets out. If Iran's fast attack boats come anywhere near us, they're getting sunk. Those are his words. He literally compared it to how we take out the drug runners in the Caribbean. And I get the energy, I do. But let me tell you something. The Strait of Hormuz is not the Caribbean. It's 21 miles wide. That's it. 20% of the world's oil squeezes through there every single day. And Iran has been turning it into a kill box for 6 weeks. Mines, drones, fast attack boats, and anti-ship missiles on both coastlines. All of it pointed right at the choke point. So we've parked 15 warships in the middle of it and said, we own this. So if you're just tuning in, if you've been living your best life, suddenly you're hearing the word blockade and gas prices are going up. That's the quick version. We know about all the airstrikes, the military targets. We're like on Ayatollah number 6, whatever. And nobody's really seen this guy. We don't know where he is. First, it was radio warnings, turn around or else. We just saw a couple of American warships go through. They were threatened. Nothing happened. Okay. So I think this was a dry run. Iran dropped all of these mines in the water. They don't know where they're at. So this Chinese ship going through was a bold move by the Chinese, but also very dangerous to the entire world. Because if this Chinese ship were to hit one of the mines, I don't know what this descends into, but it very well could shut down the entire strait for months or years. It's 300 feet deep, 4 miles wide. You've got a very, very narrow choke point there. 90% of all of this oil would be shut off, okay? The Maersk, big shipping company, they pulled out. No, all the other shipping companies are pulling out, okay? So that's where we're at. Over the last week or so, the United States Navy has started deploying a bunch of minesweepers headed toward the Middle East. They're leaving Japan. They're headed there. We need them there yesterday. Because if another one of these rogue Chinese ships, one of these rogue captains says, hey, they went through, we're going through. And then what happens if it hits a mine? We're back to, primitive days. Iran can't sell their oil. They've got to cap the wells. Once they cap the well, they're never going to get these things flowing back again. And you could see $300 a barrel for oil. The one bright, shining light out of this that I see is the world is starting to recognize that Iran is not our friend. The world commerce is realizing a country with this much power and this much evil should not have nuclear weapons, and they're making bad decisions. If they can't keep up with their minds, what would they do with nuclear weapons? So that to me is what everyone has failed to recognize for a long time, but it's become evidently clear. Now, I'm not sure still why this has taken 50 years for any president to really take any action, but that's a conversation for a different time and probably out of my league, considering I was a kid when Jimmy Carter allowed all this to unfold. Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Biden, the other Bush, Obama. They have all allowed this to happen. And if we don't take care of it now, who knows what happens? My grandkids could be worried about this again. I want to know, do you think this blockade actually holds, or is this all talk? genuinely want to know, drop it in the comments, because this is where it gets interesting. With this Chinese vessel making a run, I'm going to show you here how narrow this is, okay? This is 21 miles wide. You've got all of these ships just waiting to get out. They're loaded. You've got all of these ships waiting to get in. They're empty. The one thing that's on there is about 20,000 sailors stranded on a ship. So think about that. And everyone's missing this. But the longer these stay, the longer these don't move, the more pressure is on Iran. They need money. The consumers, China, they need goods. We're not importing any oil from Iran. And we're forcing a lot of these other countries to come to the United States to buy our oil.
A ship tracking firm reports 121 empty oil tankers are making their way to the United States of America. 68 of those 121 vessels are very large crude carriers capable of carrying 2 million barrels apiece. President Trump has urged countries squeezed by Iran's disruption of the Strait of Hormuz to turn to American energy supplies instead. Well, it would appear perhaps they are obliging him. They are listening to Trump. The president told Fox, quote, China can send their ships to the U.S., China can send their ships to Venezuela, while also saying that empty oil-carrying ships from many nations are all headed to the U.S. to load up.
So whether you like the guy or not, he could basically start selling ice to Eskimos. He started selling oil, American oil, to the Chinese. He is forcing their hand. Is this going to affect their economy? Yes. Is it going to keep it at the petrodollar? Yes. That's the long-term play, while at the same time affecting Iran's capability of money to produce weapons that, I mean, they chant death to America on a daily basis. It's basically part of their anthem, their way of life. Now, the other thing that I'm concerned about in Iran is uranium. And that's where this leads me to a sponsor here on my channel that I have reached out to, and I want you to check them out. With tensions exploding in the Middle East and a potential wider conflict with Iran, our energy grid is dangerously exposed. And here's the thing nobody's talking about: uranium. It isn't just an energy play. It's a national security asset. It powers submarines. It powers aircraft carriers. It needs to be in the right hands, period. That's why Kirkstone Metals caught my attention. The ticker is KSMCF in the United States and KSM in Canada. They control nearly 14,000 hectares of prime uranium real estate in Saskatchewan's Athabasca Basin, the richest uranium district on the planet. That is the same geological corridor that produced over 200 million pounds of uranium. And it's right here in North America. Not Russia, not Kazakhstan, not some country that doesn't share our values. Historical drilling already hit high-grade uranium near the surface. Their geology team believes that's just the smoke. The massive source is deep underground. They just closed a $2 million financing. They filed permits for a major 2026 drill program, and they're sitting at a market cap of roughly $10 million. $10 million in a district where the big players are valued north of $10 billion, and the drills haven't even started turning yet. America cannot keep outsourcing the fuel that runs our military and our grid to foreign hostile nation. Companies like Kirkstone are part of the solution. Thanks to Kirkstone Metals for sponsoring today's video. The tickers are KSMCF in the US and KSM in Canada. A link is in the description for their latest investor highlights. This is not financial advice, and I hope you will check it out yourself. Now, with all of this stuff going on, Iran has come out and said that the United States is basically committing piracy because we have shut down the strait. We have shut off their flow of goods and services. But just a couple of days ago, Iran has threatened to shut it down for everyone. So the irony, the hypocrisy is pretty thick. Now, as this heats up, Iran came out and said they have weapons that we have no idea about. And I want you to think about that. We have targeted through Operation Rising Lion, Epic Fury, we have targeted their abilities to create nuclear weapons. But do they have something that we don't know about? We know their Navy's gone. We know their Air Force is gone. We know a lot of their capabilities are gone. But what else do they have? Because it looks like this morning that they have actually struck a commercial vessel with 2 unidentified projectiles, sparking a fire on board. The attack took place near one of the world's most critical maritime checkpoints. You can see this here. This happened early. So is this one of the weapons that they have? Is this going to put more pressure on the President of the United States to take more action right now? But it was a Pakistan naval vessel that received the assistance. And I don't know how this works. I don't know what the next step is. I don't know what the rules of engagement are that we have in place right now. But when these other countries start getting attacked, they are going to respond. And how they respond is not going to be dictated by us, but we are going to have to react, and we're going to have to recover, and hopefully we can maintain some level of diplomacy there. The diplomacy might be the only way out of this. China has come out with this rich story, and they're saying that it exited the Gulf carrying 250,000 barrels of methanol. This is that first Chinese tanker to make its way out. The Chinese are desperate. Their economy is starting to fail. They depend on this oil coming from Iran. And with the Starry making its way out, who knows what's next? Are we going to see more rogue captains try to run the strait, try to get through, try to push their luck? I don't know. I hope not, because it could get really Western real quick. But with everything playing out like this, hopefully Iran starts to feel enough pressure to come back to the table. I hope these other countries that buy from Iran start putting pressure on them. I believe that's the whole goal, is to cut off the supply from everyone that is buying from Iran and make them put pressure on it. It's like when your favorite store shuts down or it cuts down the amount of hours. It goes from 40 hours a week to 2 hours a week. Everybody comes in. The price goes up on those goods and services. They become more popular, but at the same time, the natives get restless. So this could be the whole goal. The United States really wants, I believe Donald Trump is not wanting conflict. He is wanting to make a deal, and he's leveraging the economy against the Iranians, against the Chinese, by forcing the Chinese to buy from us, by forcing the Iranians to come to the table. That's where I hope that this goes. Apparently, there are more ships making their way through. This is going to be slow. It is a methodical process, but that's what needs to happen. And you see here, 121 empty tankers headed to the United States. I want to know this. Are you starting to feel this at the pump? Are you starting to feel it in your wallet? Are you starting to feel it, let's say in your refrigerator, your kitchen table? Because everything comes on a container ship. So where does this actually go? I see 3 scenarios. None of them are clean. 1, the blockade works. Iran's hemorrhaging $150 million a day in lost revenue. 2, this drags on. Both blockades hold, and it's a standoff until someone does something stupid or caves. I hope Iran will admit their error. They will come to the table. They will get rid of their uranium enrichment capabilities, and we get back to some level of normalcy, and we can continue to hold them accountable so that our kids don't worry about them. 3, and this is the one that keeps me up. Somebody miscalculates. Somebody does something to an American warship. Someone does something that leads to a lot of disaster, a lot of death in that region, and a lot of chaos. That's the one that I don't want to happen. We're not getting a lot of help from NATO. The British sent one ship, it broke down, they had to send her back. See, the United States and Israel, maybe with UAE, Qatar, Dubai, we're kind of operating in that realm by ourselves. This is the most dangerous naval standoff since the 1980s tanker wars. 2 blockades, 1 strait, and a Chinese tanker that just went through like a rogue lion. Okay? I'd like for you to smash a like and subscribe button. Stay tuned. This is going to get even more dicey the longer it goes. Let's just hope Iran and our delegates can come to an agreement. I'll see you in the next one.